Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll chant Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verses 61 to 65.
तानि सर्वाणि संयम्य युक्त आसीत मत्परः वशे हि यस्येन्द्रियाणि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषूपजायते संगात् संजायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिर्भ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशः बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति रागद्वेषवियुक्तैस्तु विषयानिन्द्रियैश्चरन् आत्मवशैर्विधेयात्मा प्रसादमधिगच्छति प्रसादे सर्वदुःखानां हानिरस्योपजायते प्रसन्नचेतसो ह्याशु बुद्धिः पर्यवतिष्ठते.
So we are now studying this chapter 2 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We have gone up to shloka number 63. The last two shlokas, 62 and 63 that we did, talks about the ladder of fall, how an individual falls. Now the thought flow from verse number 54, where the Stita Prajna portion starts, as being that in the beginning Arjuna asks for the general description of a Stita Prajna, and he asks Sri Krishna, please tell me about the inner state of the person who is evolved, who has realized the self, and also what is the impact of the world upon him, what is that person's impact upon the world. All these questions were answered by Sri Krishna, starting from 55, 56, 57, 58. Then he talks about the importance of self-control, what we call as sense control and mind control. Now, he says, a self-realized soul walks about in this world like a tortoise, goes about contacting the world with perfect self-control. Upon sensing a danger, quickly withdraws the senses. Spontaneously it happens in the case of a perfect soul. And those who are aspiring to reach that perfection, they need to understand the importance of sense control and mind control and then go about. That's the idea he is trying to present here. So, he said, Tani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matparaha vashehi yasyendriyani tasya prajna pratishtita. Shloka number 61. He says, having controlled them all, controlled all the organs of perception and organs of actions and the mind, he should sit focused on me as supreme. The mind should be focusing upon the self within, with no other things attached to the mind, with no other priorities in the mind. Only the priority is there for the self. Such a person's wisdom is established, he says. His wisdom is established, indeed, whose senses are under control. Only when the senses are under control, then the mind will be under control. Only when the mind is under the control, the Atma, which is the Adhishtanam, becomes clear. In all of us, our true nature, Atma, the self, is the substratum, Adhishtanam. But today we can't see it because our mind is too disturbed. Why that is happening? He explains. He says, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha Sangasteshu Upajayate. Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha Kamat Krodot Vijayate Krodat Bhavati Sammohaha Sammohat Smriti Vibramaha Smriti Bramshat Buddhinashaha Buddhinashat Pranashyati. Beautifully presented in shloka number 62 and 63 how the whole fall happens. He says everything starts off with a thought. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha. Vishaya means sense objects. When your attention goes towards a sense object, when your mind starts dwelling upon a sense object, and there is the thought upon a sense object, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha. What happens? Slowly, as the thought current flows towards the object, this Sangha happens. Sangha means attachment. Your mind gets attached to the sense object. Then Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha. From that attachment comes desire. What is that? Initially, you have an attachment for an object. Now, slowly, as the attachment becomes thicker and thicker, now your mind wants to have that object. Without it, it feels miserable. So that wanting that object, to own it, is called desire. I must now have that object or being. That is called desire. Kamat krododpi jayate. How this desire further modifies, he explains. When the desire is interrupted by either a person or a situation or whatever it may be, the thought current that has been going from you to the object is now interrupted. So this deflected thought currents now is flowing towards the person who is interrupting or the situation that is interrupting, and this deflected thought current is anger. That's all he says. Kamat krododpi jayate. Whoever is interrupting, whatever is interrupting, you get angry towards that situation or the person. So there can be no anger without desire. Kamat krododpi jayate. Krodat bhavati sammohaha. Now, when he says from krodha comes sammoha, he has given only one example of somebody interrupting your desire. Now, what happens when your desire is fulfilled? Same thing happens. When your desire is fulfilled, your mind craves for more. You understand? And that craving for more also causes agitation. Or there is fear of losing what has been achieved, what has been attained. That also causes agitation. So anger, fear, all that deludes you. Completely you get deluded. He says, sammoha. You get completely deluded. You become absolutely, mad. Delusion is madness. So he says, sammoha will happen to you once you are in anger. You will be moha. Moha means a state of confusion. You do not know what is right, what is wrong. That is called moha. Sammohat smriti vibramaha. Smriti means memory. Smriti also means the scriptures, that which you have been studying and have put it in your memory. All those knowledge, the efforts that you have put in the past and collected the knowledge, all that knowledge, he says, will not be handy, will be lost. Sammohat smriti vibramaha. You will forget everything. Smriti bramshat buddhinashaha. When whatever you collected through the scriptures with your hard work is gone, you lose the capacity to discriminate. You can't think clearly. So he says, buddhi will be lost. Buddhinashat pranashyati. Once the intellect is lost, everything is lost. Buddhi is the guiding factor. It is the faculty in us which can control and direct the mind and the senses. Now, if the buddhi is gone, then we become worse than animals. Because in the case of animals, nature has given them limited capacity. They are protected that way. They only have a rudimentary intellect. That much is enough for them. You won't find in an animal greed, gluttony, avarice, anxiety for future, or worries of the past. You won't see in an animal that, waiting to take revenge. No such things in animal kingdom. When there is impulse and there is hunger, animal functions in a particular way, using that limited intellect. And after that, simply relaxes. That is not the case with human beings. Even when we are fully eaten, we are overeaten, we have fallen sick as a result of that, we may still want to eat more. One fellow suddenly developed severe stomach problem. He couldn't bear it anymore. He rushed to the clinic. He rushed to the doctor whom he consults regularly. When he went there, a lot of people are waiting to consult the doctor. There is already a person gone inside the room. So the doctor is treating him. So he couldn't bear it. He just opened the door and went inside. Doctor said, wait, I'm treating this. No, doctor, I can't bear this pain. That's why I came in. He said, okay, relax, sit down. He said, what happened? Couldn't bear. I'm having terrible stomach problem. Well, what happened? I went to this function. They were giving me all kinds of foods which I really love. So I just indulged. I indulged like anything. So he said, oh, okay, your stomach problem is because of overeating. No problem. Simple. You just put your two fingers, ring finger and the index finger and the middle finger, you put inside your mouth and vomit. He said, doctor, if I had space for those two fingers, I would have eaten 2 more bananas. So in the sense, all of us, suffer like this. This is not the case with animals. If they have eaten enough, they don't overeat. If they are sick, sometimes they don't eat at all. Nature has given them the capacity to protect themselves. In the case of human beings, nature has given us this intellect. Using the intellect, we need to protect ourselves. And if the intellect is gone, everything is gone. Therefore, he says, Buddhi Nasha Pranashyati. Buddhi is the main thing. We are called as chef d'oeuvre of creation, meaning the jewel in the crown, because we have this capacity to think, discriminate, and function in life. That's why we are called as Manushya, first of all. Otherwise, we'll be like, this janwar, like animals. They don't have any goal, purpose. So, Buddhi Nasha Pranashyati means you become incapacitated to pursue any goal. You lose all your purushartha. There are 4 purusharthas we talk about, isn't it? Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. No goal, nothing. We'll also be meandering like animals in the world. That is not the life of a human being. A human being should have a purpose in life. And the highest purpose that we can have is realizing our own self. Because only upon realizing our own self can we live a complete, total life. Because at the end of the day, real purpose of life is what? Simply to live. To live totally. To live fully. To live a complete life. To live every moment totally. Isn't it? To live every moment totally, we should be completely identified with ourselves with it. When we do not know who we are, and we imagine a limited personality, we'll be pursuing all kinds of things, living the way our mind dictates, and we call ourselves as living life. That is not living life. There we are not leading our life. We are being led by our own mind. Therefore, he says, Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati. Buddhi is gone, everything is gone. So remember, 60, he says, O Kaunteya, the turbulent senses of even a wise man, while striving, indeed forcibly carry away his mind. And obviously, once the mind is carried away, what should happen naturally? The mind will thereafter carry away the intellect. That he mentions in verse number 67. In between from 61 to 66, he talks about the importance of strengthening the intellect, developing the intellect, controlling the mind and the senses. He gives the importance of sense control from 61 to 66. So he says, if you do not control your senses and the mind, we already discussed this, isn't it? Sense control is one aspect. Otherwise, even though you've controlled your senses, what is the next one? You have already collected a lot of vasanas, a lot of desires are already there inside. Even though you're not allowing nonsensic stuff through your senses now, in the past you had collected a lot, which are there within you. You may start thinking about it, and that may start causing attachment and agitations, etc. Isn't it? So you need to control your mind as well. So what to do? If your thoughts run helter-skelter, it develops desire and then anger, delusion, loss of knowledge, intellect, everything. So now what to do? He talks about in 64. Let's chant verse number 64 together.
रागद्वेषवियुक्तैस्तु विषयानिन्द्रियैश्चरन् आत्मवशैर्विधेयात्मा प्रसादमधिगच्छति.
Ragadvesha-viyuktaistu vishayan indriyaischaran. Now, this word raga and dvesha, you will hear these two words throughout the Gita. In many places, Sri Krishna talks about it. Because, in fact, in one place he says, these are your enemies. We look for enemies outside. But actual enemies are sitting within you. Who are they? They are raga and dvesha. Likes, dislikes. Attachment, aversion. Raga dvesha viyuktaistu vishayan indriyaischaran. What is he saying here? You should disconnect yourself from likes and dislikes. Disconnect yourself from likes and dislikes in the sense, you should not come under the sway of likes and dislikes. You cannot disconnect yourself from likes and dislikes. It will always be there. All of us, even after realizing the self, a Mahatma, when you talk about Mahatma from the limited point of view, from the worldly point of view, that person will also have preferences. Swami Ramtirtha, who is from Punjab, he is grown up in Punjab, so he may like certain type of food. Swami Ramana Maharishi, who is from South India, he is realized, but he may have certain likes and dislikes about his food things, food preferences. So everybody has this likes and dislikes. Nothing wrong in them. We have to, with the intellect, disconnect ourselves from the likes and dislikes. Meaning not come under their sway. Not come under their sway. They should not dictate terms to us. Raga dvesha viyuktaistu vishayan indriyaischaran. What should you disconnect? Your senses should not be following the dictates of your likes and dislikes. Indriya means your senses should not be following the dictates of your likes and dislikes. Then it should be moving about amidst the sense objects. Vishaya. Vishaya means world, sense objects. Raga dvesha viyuktaistu vishayan indriyaischaran. The indriyas, the senses, should be moving about amidst the objects. Meaning you don't have to leave the world and go anywhere. One set of people leave the world and go away to practice self-control. As if something wrong with the world. Other set of people are running after the world. So everybody is either running after or running away. So sense control is not running after or running away. What is it? When your intellect disconnects your senses from the likes and dislikes of the mind. Where are the likes and dislikes? In your mind, which you have collected from the past. You yourself come into this world with a lot of likes and dislikes. Then your parents pamper you, and then they feed your likes and dislikes more and more. Then the society, then your spouse, etc., etc. Slowly, slowly, you keep on collecting a lot more likes and dislikes. So your intellect must disconnect your senses from the likes and dislikes and move out in the world amidst the object. You can be in the world, you should be in the world. Where can you go? Even if you construct an ashram and move into the ashram, where are you constructing the ashram? The ashram is constructed in the world only. No? Maybe near the river, maybe near the mountain, but that is also in the world. Now, when I studied in our ashram, which is near Lonavala in Maharashtra, it's about 10 kilometers away from Lonavala. It's a village called Malavli. Now, I studied in 92 to 95. Now, that time there were hardly any houses nearby. Very few houses. That also, people from Mumbai had bought some land and they constructed. They used to come during weekends and vacations. Never used to be that disturbing. Now, slowly, a lot more people have bought properties around the ashram. A lot of birthday parties and this and that happens at times. Now, where can we run? Can we shift our ashram from that place to somewhere else? So, you cannot run away. You have to be in the world. You are in the world. You cannot run away from the world. You have to be in the world. Gita talks about being in the world and facing the challenges. So, raga dvesha viyuktaistu vishayan indriyaishcharan atma vashyehi videh atma. Both mean self-controlled. So, what he's saying? The self-controlled man, but the self-controlled man, free from likes and dislikes, moving among objects with his senses under control, attains peace. 2 times he's using the word self-control. Atma Vashya. Atma here means the mind, the individuality, the lower self. The lower self, the mind should be under your control. Atma Vashyehi Videha Atma. Both means self-control only. Both means self-control. So what is he saying here? Why 2 times he's using the word self-control? What it means is, when you move about contacting the world, your contacts should not be dictated by your likes and dislikes. It should be dictated by your buddhi. Whatever field that you are moving about, you should make sure that it should not be simply because you like it or dislike it. It should be something that is conducive for your growth, conducive for your evolution, conducive for your peace and happiness, conducive for your well-being, conducive for your freedom. Not something that will bind you, enslave you, condition you. So therefore he says, your buddhi should decide your contacts. There's no harm in contacting. That's why we say sense control, self-control is nothing but lending purpose to your contacts. Mindlessly contacting is self-indulgence, sense indulgence. Mindfully contacting is sense control, self-control. Either people are indulging or people are denying themselves. So what he's talking about here is, with your buddhi directing you, you contact the world, that which is harmless, that which is conducive, helpful for your growth, that which is going to aid you to reach your goal. Those things you contact. First point, first self-control. Second self-control is, once the contact is over, once you're perceived, after that what happens? Now, like a cow, what does the cow do? The cows go to the pasture land, they graze the grass there, and they come back to the shed in the evening. Having come back, now they will be sitting inside the shed and they will bring out whatever they ate in the morning and they'll cut shoe. We do the same thing. After having contacted, the perceptions gets registered in our memory, in our mind. Memory is in our mind, right? Now what do? We come back and we ruminate over that perception. We don't end perception with perception. So when he says Atma Vashe Videhatma, means what? Having contacted means having allowed your senses to contact, having registered the perception. You have to end the perception with perception and move on to the next perception. When we are invited for a talk in Rotary Club, usually these talks are all for 20 minutes most of the time. Sometimes they give you a little more time. So 20 minutes you're supposed to talk, and there may be few other speakers as well, or some other event will be there after that. So they'll tell you, please conclude in 20 minutes. Sometimes there are people who will start their actual message only at around 19 minutes or 20 minutes. And they'll ring the bell and all that. They go on indulging. Now this class is also for an hour. We need to be conscious throughout. I conclude, sometimes if there are certain points we want to discuss for 2-3 minutes more, we tell us, say, listen, today we'll extend it by 2 minutes. But awareness has to be there when you contact. So, you are contacting the world with your intellect directing, not your likes and dislikes propelling. Then, after having contacted thus, what are you supposed to do? You are supposed to stop the perception with perception, not mentally linger in them. You understand? We have this tendency to linger mentally, like a cow. You bring it back and cut shoe. This is the problem. And when you do that, what happens? You will increase the vasanas. You will increase the desire. How do we increase the desires? How do we increase the vasanas? We've seen that before. By conscious, continuous, indiscriminate, not conscious, by unconscious, continuous, indiscriminate thought flow. I repeat, through unconscious, continuous, consistent, indiscriminate thought flow, we strengthen our vasanas, we strengthen our desires. This is how we do that. So when you mentally ruminate over all your perceptions, you'll be increasing your desires. Whole idea is to contact the world, reduce the desire. Please understand what spirituality talks about. Spirituality says everybody is essentially divine. Everyone is essentially divine. Everyone is Atma. But what is there covering you is the vasanas. The vasanas are covering you. You have to remove the covering of vasanas. You have to make sure that the existing vasanas are reduced, removed totally, and you don't add new vasanas. So if you don't practice this self-control, the second stage of self-control, what they are talking about, only one, Atma Vashe Videha, means not mentally indulging. That's what it means. If you do like this, if you function like this, what happens? He says, Prasadam Adhigacchati. You will attain prasada. Prasada means peace in the context here. Why do you want to go to temples or any place of worship for that matter? Peace of mind, isn't it? You go to the temple, you offload all your worries and anxieties to Bhagwan, and you have that belief that Bhagwan will take care of it. You become relatively peaceful within. And the external environment is also peaceful. Today, sometimes you wonder when you go to temples, whether you are getting that external environment at all. Pushing and pulling happening in the queues only, or you are standing in the queue. You get more agitated. So you get the prasada. What is that prasada? Peace of mind. I already mentioned to you. Only when you are peaceful can the self reveal itself. To reveal the self from within, we need to attain peace. See, this self-control is not only to attain that absolute goal of self-realization. Here the context is Sthita Prajna. When we talk about Sthita Prajna, obviously, we are talking about how to attain that self-realization. That's the context here. But any goal, any pursuit, if we want to achieve, we need to have some amount of peace within, some amount of control over the senses and the mind. Without control over the senses and the mind, it is impossible. It is impossible. You need to be calm, collected. Understand? Yesterday, I don't know how many of you watched the T20 match between India and England. Everybody, getting out. One fellow stood there, Tilak Verma, and the commentators were talking about him. This fellow is a big hitter. This player is a big hitter, but he controlled his shots sometimes. As a result, he was able to achieve the success. Any field, whether it is sports or studies or business, whatever it may be, or spirituality, we need to have control over our senses and the mind. To the extent we can have control over our senses and mind, to that extent we can succeed. So in fact, generally when we talk about success, a lot of us, what is the definition of success? Whatever I want to achieve, when I achieve, I can say I'm successful. But that can vary from person to person. Somebody wants to be a sports achiever. Somebody wants to be an achiever in business field. Somebody wants to be an achiever in politics. Somebody wants to be an achiever in different fields, isn't it? But in all this, there is only one thing common. What is that? Sense control, mind control. So those who are able to control their senses, those who are able to control their mind, we can call successful people. Unfortunately, in the world, we go by the result. We go by the result. Very, very interesting, Now, that is not really the factor that should determine success. A person may hit century after giving 3 or 4 chances. The opposition team has dropped this fellow's catches 3-4 times. He had given chance maybe when he was 0. When he was 0, they would have given a chance. He would have given a chance. They dropped it. And he was in 10 or 12, they dropped him. And he was in 45, they dropped him. Like that, 3-4 times they dropped him. And he's hit century or double century. And over a period of time, we may forget all that. Nobody remembers all that. Oh, he's hit 200. That's what you'll remember. There may be another fellow who did not give even a single chance, but got out when he was 75 or 45 or 30. But till then he focused and played. Especially somebody who comes up to 75, focused and played. Something happened, he lost his wicket, let's say. A run out maybe, which is also not his fault. Fault of the other fellow, let's say. Maybe little fault here. But then he will say that fellow is successful, this fellow is not successful. But the real success, if you want to understand, is this. दूसरों को जय से पहले खुद को जय करे. दूसरों को जय से पहले खुद को जय करे. So when your intellect controls and directs the senses and the mind towards the chosen goal, that is called success. Karmani eva adhikara. Ma phaleshu kadachana. We already studied that, verse number 47. So with this focus, you do your karma. For whatever reasons, things may not result in success. But from the world point of view, they will say that is only success. But from your point of view, doing what you ought to do with your mind and senses under perfect control, controlled by the intellect, you are a successful person. So therefore he says, prasadam milega. When you practice sense control, mind control, prasadam you will get. Once you get prasadam, what happens? He explains that in the next shloka. Verse number 65.
Prasade sarvadukhanam hanirasyopajayate prasannachetaso hyashu buddhi paryavatishtate.
Prasade sarvadukhanam hanirasyopajayate. In peace, all his sorrows, sarva dukkha, all his sorrows are destroyed. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajayate prasanna chetaso yashugu buddhi paryavatishate. The intellect of the tranquil-minded soon becomes steady. What he's trying to say is, when you get disturbed, when your mind gets disturbed, you can't think properly. But when the mind is steady, your thinking becomes clear. You can think better. So that's why he says, the intellect of the tranquil-minded soon becomes steady. Here, the word buddhi is also interpreted as what? The jnanam, prajnaha, we studied, no? Jnaha means knowledge. Prajnaha means clear knowledge. That's what prajnaha means. Sthita prajnaha means being established in that knowledge 24/7, 365 days. That's called sthita prajnaha. So, he says, your knowledge will then get established. That's why we say, you have to follow a life of discipline and pursue the studies. Read, reflect. After that, there are 3 levels of gaining knowledge. We've studied that. No, first is reading or listening. Second is reflecting. Third is repeatedly remembering what you have studied. Repeatedly dwelling upon what we have studied. Throughout, we need to maintain a proper lifestyle, a disciplined lifestyle, till we realize the self. Otherwise, what happens? He already explained. What happens? The rasa lingers, he said. Isn't it? Shaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva anivartate. The rasa is lingering. Therefore, you need to maintain a disciplined lifestyle till your knowledge gets established. Till your knowledge gets established. Once you are established, once you have realized the self, then you will not get distracted. It's a different state altogether. Once you realized, till then you need this protection. So he says, in peace, prasade, sarva dukkhanam, hani rasyopajayate. All the dukkha's will be destroyed. All sorrows will be gone. The real source of our sorrow is our likes and dislikes. You may give all kinds of reasons. I am having this problem because of that person, because of this situation. Whatever you may give reasons, Too many reasons you may be giving. But the real reason for your or my or anybody's suffering is our likes and dislikes. It is in that peace that comes due to sense control and mind control. all dukkhas are gone because your mind is not now going helter-skelter. So two things we need to achieve. One is we need to purify the mind. Other is we need to bring the single-pointedness of the mind. Purification and single-pointedness. Then the self, which is the adhishtanam, the substratum, reveals itself. Clarity comes. See, whenever we get disturbed, we go to a psychologist or a guru or an elderly person in the family, isn't it? Now, all these people, what they do is they first listen to you. You talk. First of all, when you talk, you give out all the things that is disturbing you, all your confusions, you have offloaded. All your confusions. And since you've been talking, you've been exhaling a lot, that will help in your mind quietening. Once you have quietened yourself, then you are now ready to listen. At that time, that person may give 1 or 2 points after understanding what is the solution for you. What is your problem? How to give a solution he thinks about and then gives you a 1 or 2 solution. In fact, these things you might already know. What he may say, you may already know that. But now you suddenly say, yes, I must follow this. The clarity comes. Till then, since your mind is going helter-skelter and nobody is listening to you and you are disturbed, you won't find solution. In fact, many a times, if you can quieten your mind temporarily through some methods, you'll find some solution coming from within. There are solutions for every problem, and many a times you'll find it within yourselves. You'll find it within yourself. But you have to allow the personality to bring out the solution. You're constantly disturbed. You're not allowing it to come out. You understand? You have to allow it to come out. The solution. That's what he's saying. Prasade sarva dukkhanam shanirasyopa prasanna chetasu yashuhu buddhi paryavatishtate. Intellect becomes prasanna. Prasannata means becomes clear, shining, sharp. You develop clarity of thinking. Your buddhi becomes steady. Steadily you will be able to pursue the self and you get established in the self. You will become a sthitaprajna. So what you have to do is, you don't have to go out and conquer anything outside. You have to conquer your own senses and mind. This is the thing. Before you venture into any activity, first you have to control your senses. Many times in the class we have said this. Mahavir, which is Vardhamanji. Vardhamanji was called as Mahavir not because he conquered many kingdoms. I don't even know whether he went for any war or battle. He is called as Mahavir, because he conquered himself. He conquered his own mind, conquered his own senses. That is important. It's just the talent that is not enough. A lot of people have a lot of talent, skill. That's not enough. You find out. There are people who had excellent skill, talent, but they didn't come up in life. Why? Because they were not able to control and direct the mind. There's so much of confusion. One aspect of their mind is saying, do this. Other aspect of mind will bring its own points against it. For what? If you, for example, let's say, you haven't digested Vedanta correctly, then also this problem can come. So I'm giving this example. You study Vedanta, instead of developing true Vairagya, you will develop false Vairagya. So you will listen to the lectures or read book, and they say you need to dynamically act and all that. So you say, yes, this is the goal I will pursue. But because of your wrong understanding of Vedanta, developing false Vairagya, some cases, when there is still passion and desire there, you want to act, you should act. Like Arjuna should have acted. But you'll say, Kya karenge? What is the use of doing all this? World is not in need of my service. Even if I don't do, world will continue. Who is saying this? Your own mind. Your own mind at times is saying, start this business, do this, do that. Your own mind, some other times coming and telling, what is the use? Kyun karna? Doesn't this happen to all of us? Are we all not like Arjuna? Arjuna came to the battlefield for what purpose? He came to the battlefield to fight. Yes, of course, before coming to the war, they tried their best to avoid the war. Why unnecessarily kill so many people? So they tried Sam, Dhan, Ved, they tried everything. Sri Krishna himself went as an emissary. He wanted to talk to them. Jai Baba, let's not fight. They tried their best, but the opposition camp, Kauravas, Duryodhana, tried to imprison Sri Krishna. Then they said, okay, you don't have to give us the kingdom, just give us 5 villages. He said, nothing doing. So Sama failed, Dhanam failed, discussions failed, giving in failed. Then Veda, they tried to bring dissension in the opposition camp to avoid war. By telling the truth of Karna's birth to Karna. Saying that Karna, you are actually a Pandava man. You are the eldest of Pandavas. Come this side. He said, nothing doing. I am not coming this side, that side. I will stay here. So they couldn't do anything. Sama, Dana, Veda, they tried and the war was forced upon them. So they accepted the war. Like Shakespeare says, beware of entrance to a quarrel. Being in beareth that the enemy beware of thee. You don't want any quarrel, any argument, nothing. But you are forced, what you can do? You face the challenges with your intellect. Don't run away. They were on the battlefield. You understand? So Sam, Dan, Veda, they tried, they came to the battlefield. So Arjuna came to the battlefield to fight. But having come, Arey yaar, kyun karna? Why I have to kill them? Killing them brings me paap. Your own mind, not from anywhere else. One mind is saying do, another mind is saying don't do. Do, don't do, don't do. One step we go ahead, 10 steps we go back. One step we go back, go ahead, 10 steps we go back. Ultimately, we calculate we are somewhere behind. This is what is happening in our life. And then we say stars are not good. This is not good. Okay, maybe all those things are not in your favor. ठीक है. But why should your inner personality be so negative? Nobody questions that. Then for that also some people have an answer. That is also determined by the stars. You understand? And this debate is never ending. It continues, goes on. So therefore, he says, prasade sarva dukkhanam jnani rasyo upajayate prasanna chetaso yashuhu buddhi paryavatishtate. That's why we say, in the beginning, you better keep a conducive environment. When I had quit my job and wanted to go to the ashram to study, people said, why are you quitting the job and all? Why don't you attend weekly classes like you all are attending here? Just attend weekly classes, continue. Sunday anyway classes there, no problem. First initially they were telling me, why you want to study Vedanta, this, then they knew, Baba, we cannot stop this fellow from studying this. Then, because I am going to the extent of quitting the job and going to the ashram, that time they are saying, okay, you continue studying Vedanta on Sundays, don't have to quit the job. Initially, don't study Vedanta. Then, not don't study, why now? Study after 60, 70. Then they say, okay, you study now only on Sundays, continue working. Why can't you study here itself? Lot of logic they'll give you. And they are correct also in a way. Can you not study here? How is it that you can only achieve this there? Why can't you achieve it here? and it will be perfect logic. You cannot dispute what they're saying. But then your condition is different. No? You need a conducive environment. Like this classroom, when we are sitting here, wherever you are sitting in your houses and listening to this online, it should be conducive. External, internal, both. Isn't it? It should be conducive. See, a policeman has a particular uniform. Even when he's not in uniform, he's a policeman. Isn't it? He's still in service. Even when he's not in uniform, he's a policeman. But on wearing the uniform, it is more conducive for him to do his duty. Even if his mind wants to go this side, that side, the uniform is there. Be careful. For example, nowadays, all these people on the YouTube, they show, look at this policeman riding a bike without helmet. Because everybody is having mobile phone. So they catch the video and they put it on the YouTube sometimes. The policeman talking on the phone and riding the bike. He has to be more careful, especially when he's going in uniform. Supposing the person is not in uniform, nobody cares. They don't know that he's a policeman. But when he's in police uniform and riding the bike, he has to be more careful. So this conducive environment is more important. It's extremely important when we are growing up. We are trying to establish ourselves. And then practice sense control, mind control, and disciplined lifestyle is important. That's why he is also going to talk about our food habits. He will talk about different things. When you go to 17th chapter of the Gita, Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic aspects of food also he talks about. When he's asking about Shraddha, Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga, that is the 17th chapter. Why it is important? What time we wake up, what time we sleep, what kind of food we eat, what kind of books we read, kind of things we consume. All this has a certain effect in keeping the mind quiet. Sometimes when you eat certain type of food, it's very tasty, you eat. After about 20 minutes or so, it starts doing gadbad in your stomach. Exactly before 11 o'clock, maybe by 10 o'clock or so, if you eat something, by 10:55 it starts giving gadbad. How will you sit and study? You can't sit in the class. So you have to make sure, So that's what he's trying to say. If you control your senses, you control your mind, then there will be peace. Don't try to control the outside. Outside is temporary. But more important is inside. Having got a conducive environment, you should also lead a disciplined lifestyle with your senses and mind controlled. And in that peace, whatever you studied, clarity will come out of it. You will be able to see what the scriptures are trying to explain. And then you will see how the concept is fitting in every context of your life. See, one is to understand a concept. Other is to see how that concept fits in every aspect of your life. How to use it in this context. How it has to be applied. What is the use of gaining all this information? Isn't it? So therefore he says, in peace, all the sorrows will be gone. The intellect of a tranquil mind soon becomes steady. Meaning, will start getting established in the knowledge. Thereafter, the sense objects cannot wag their tail in front of you. Because you've got your personality well under your control. Extremely under your control. So therefore, he says in these two slokas, 64 and 65, he started off by likes and dislikes. Senses not following likes and dislikes are directed in the world by the intellect, following what is good for you, what is good for your growth, conducive for you, being in the goal, amidst the objects, functioning like that, and not ruminating over the perceptions, you will get peace. And in that peace, your intellect will become sharp and your knowledge will settle. You will get established in wisdom. You will become a Sthita Prajna. Let's conclude the class. Om. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti.